Objection!
You know, years ago, I was very against the idea of even trying this series out. A game where you're solving murder cases and it's pretty much nothing but reading text? I don't know, it doesn't really seem all that compelling, right? Maybe it's just me, but it was sort of hard to get the series without knowing what it was. And then I randomly decided to give Ace Attorney a shot, and man, I couldn't be any more wrong. I don't think any other series has gone from I don't really get it to one of my favorites ever in as short of a time as this one has, and I've been holding off on doing a video on it for like a year now. For some reason I just never got around to doing it, but now is finally that time. Welcome to Ace Attorney. It's a series that's currently 6 games strong, with 2 more on the way, and some non-game stuff thrown in as well, and I will talk about all of it. But here in part 1, I'm going to talk about the shining stars of the series, the Phoenix Wright trilogy. Phoenix Wright Ace Attorney, Justice for All, and Trials and Tribulations. So without further ado, let's slam a desk, point out our finger of justice, and get this started. So in Phoenix Wright you play as, and you'll never guess, yeah, you're right, it's Phoenix Wright. Phoenix's job is to defend those who are accused of pretty much always murder and fight for a not guilty verdict in court. And joining you is your assistant, Maya Fey, who is not only incredibly adorable and has an unhealthy obsession with hamburgers, but she's also a spirit medium, meaning she can channel the souls of the dead. Yeah, it's pretty crazy. Now each game is cut up into multiple episodes, and aside from a few exceptions like each game's tutorial case, everything starts off the same way. Life is all happy and cheery except when Maya is annoying the hell out of Phoenix every waking moment, and then, quote unquote, shockingly enough, something goes wrong, typically murder, and it's up to you to save the day. I'm not sure why it's always you, but it's always you. The life of a Phoenix is a tough one. And the cases are definitely a whole lot more than a simple whodunit. Each one is filled with a bunch of wacky and off-the-wall characters, all with a reason to be there. But they are so crazy at times that I'm convinced Phoenix doesn't like any single person he comes in contact with. Like even his old friend from school, Larry Butts, I'm pretty sure Phoenix likes him the least. You know what, really? I'm actually convinced Phoenix likes his haircut more than the people around him. And really, I can't blame the guy. Those spikes are excellent. The games are split up into 2 different parts. There are the investigations, where you search for clues and squeeze out as much information from witnesses that you possibly can, whether they like you or not, most times not, and the courtroom, where you gotta use all your knowledge and evidence and fight against a rival prosecutor and whatever witness steps up to testify. And easily, the courtroom is the best part of, well, the entire trilogy, really. Here you need to take people's testimonies and dissect them to pinpoint exactly where they're lying, and the series is pretty much known for its turnabouts, where everything you thought you knew suddenly changes, leading to some of the wildest courtroom antics that you could possibly imagine. Remember earlier I said that Maya can channel the dead? Yeah, that doesn't even scratch the surface. Now the investigations are cool because interacting with all the wacky characters and seeing how Phoenix reacts to them is always enjoyable, but man, the courtroom segments are easily the best. But the thing that I was initially against is still true here. The games are mostly story and not much gameplay. It's typical adventure game logic of knowing what item to use on what at the right time, and you're expected to read as much as you possibly can because there's a lot of story. But the good thing is, the stories, for the most part, are really awesome and really captivating, but there are still some frustrating times where your logic won't really mesh with the game's logic. Whether or not that's fault of the game, or it's just the result of people thinking differently, I'm not sure. Parts that I've gotten stuck on are parts that friends of mine haven't, and vice versa. But ultimately, it's an awesome time regardless. All that matters is that you get on that roll of taking down the witnesses in court and get that coveted, not guilty. Yeah, confetti, woo! Now all 3 games pretty much work on these 2 concepts alone, so really, what you see is what you get. They did add interrogations during investigation with the Magatama item starting with Justice for All, but that's really it. Oh, and speaking of the Magatama... Heh, fancy that. But there are 3 great elements that are maintained throughout the entire trilogy. First up, excellent writing. These games are filled with so many epic and hilarious moments that it's hard to not love the stories that are being told. The twists and turns that can and will take place are always welcome, and you will be on the edge of your seat more times than you would actually expect. And man, these characters are just hilarious at times. Whether you're constantly shoving your badge in everyone's face or trying to argue the difference between a ladder and a stepladder, some of these lines are pure gold. Hey, I'll show you something cool. How's this? It's a real genuine pistol. I object. That was objectionable. Are you saying that all footballs are suspicious because they're made of leather? Oh, it's so good. Second up is the great characters. These stories would be very uninteresting if it wasn't for the crazy characters that are thrown in, from the loudmouth Lotta Hart, the lovable but not necessarily helpful Detective Dick Gumshoe, Maya's adorable younger cousin Pearl, Mo the Clown, who I kinda just want to punch in the face, but you know, that's his deal. And then you got guys like Armstrong here. Yeah, the series is weird. And then there are the rival prosecutors in court, who are also pretty awesome. The cravat-wearing Miles Edgeworth, the whip lover with an attitude Franziska von Karma, and the coffee addict from the depths of hell, Godo. By the end of each game, you will grow to love them immensely because they have great backstories, but during your adventure to get there, you're really gonna hate them at times. They will stop you in your tracks at every possible chance that they could get, and you're going to really, really want to punch them in the Objection! Damn it, Edgeworth, could you stop? And as you could probably already tell, not only are the characters' designs colorful, flashy, and just so full of life, but their names are equally as good. Wendy Oldbag, Ben Ventriloquist, Luke Atme. It's just so corny that it's amazing. In fact, the criminal of the very first case, which is not a spoiler by the way, is Frank Saw It. Yeah, more like Frank did it. And lastly, but certainly not least, these games have phenomenal soundtracks. During the investigations, each character has a really catchy and unique theme song, and what's genius is that in the courtroom, they know exactly when to play the most epic music, adding to why the courtroom segments are incredibly awesome. And of course, talking is cheap. There's no better way to show off the music than without playing some, so prepare your ears for greatness. You know, something that's interesting is that each game actually has a unique composer, leading to vastly different tunes for each game, which is actually really jarring at first, but overall, when you have a soundtrack that is so vital to the experience, and it's as good as these songs are, then in my opinion, you have something pretty special here. These are easily some of my favorite gaming soundtracks of all time. Now, I do want to briefly mention that there's actually 4 different versions of this trilogy. They originally started off on the GBA in Japan only, known as Gyakuten Saiban, which translates to Turnabout Trial, which is very, very fitting. But once the trilogy was finished there, the game started being localized and brought over to the DS, giving everyone else some pointy-haired justice, as well as getting some graphical and musical enhancements, and the first game actually getting an entirely new and awesome case featuring a new adorable assistant, Emma Sky. They also added some touchscreen navigation, and what you could do that's actually pretty awesome is that you can hold down a button, say objection into the microphone, and then Phoenix will say it. Never once in the entire trilogy does that get even slightly old. And then they were also straight ported to WiiWare for 1,000 points each, with that DS exclusive case being DLC. Yeah, that definitely seems like something Capcom would do. And lastly, they've been ported over to the iOS devices with some pretty crappy quote-unquote HD art. I don't know, guys. I typically do prefer sprites just because they're sprites, but that artwork does not look good. So at the end of the day, Phoenix Wright is best played portably, and since I'm the type of guy who's not into smartphone or tablet gaming, the DS is the obvious way to go here. And the best part is, they actually got reprinted on Amazon not too long ago, so now they are cheaper than they ever have been before, which is great. In fact, Justice for All used to go for like $30 to $40, and now it's literally half of that. That's awesome. Ace Attorney is just one of those series that sticks out to me as something that I love to try getting people to give a shot. Because even when you look at the grand scheme of visual novels or adventure games, there really isn't much like it. And believe me on this, I could go on and on a whole lot longer on why I love this trilogy. But there is just so much to spoil, and I already had to condense what I wanted to say like 4 times. Now, every case may not be the greatest story ever, and there will be some times where you just get a bit frustrated, but the off-the-wall characters and intense interactions in court will suck you in and make you feel feelings that you didn't think you had before. And besides, there's no shame at all in saving and restarting constantly until you progress. Any Ace Attorney fan will tell you that's pretty much a gameplay mechanic. And quite frankly, the games are worth experiencing just for the fact that it throws curveball after curveball at you, and it never lets up. You're gonna think that you've seen it all, and then the game will show you how wrong you were. But if you do plan to give the trilogy a shot, be sure to play them in order. There's something just satisfying about witnessing Phoenix's growth from being a total newbie without a clue on what to do, to a total pro without a clue on what to do. Yeah, Feeny is a bit of a dunce. I don't think there's any objections there. But there is nothing more I can say here about the Phoenix Wright trilogy. Honestly, one of my favorite trilogies of all time. But we have a whole lot more to talk about here. Come back for part 2 and I will go over Apollo Justice, the Miles Edgeworth spin-offs, the movie, and a whole lot more. So hopefully you guys enjoyed. Thanks for watching, and as always,
Objection!